What's up, everybody? This is Average Planeswalker, and it's been a hot minute since I've done a video. Quite some time. But that is mostly because Magic been... And I focused solely on Standard. So, Standard has just been in a very hot, garbagey mess for quite some time, for more than a year. And so, there's not really much content to be made about Standard, unfortunately. Because the meta is so it gets figured out too quickly. I know some people say that's great and that's good, and I agree to a certain extent, but when you have like Corey Steelcutter happening, and before that you just had Shieldred decks running around and Mirror Breakers, and now we have Vivi Cauldron, like when the meta gets figured out to a point where there's 2 to 3 decks, maybe that's not a good meta. Me personally, I think a good meta is about 8 decks. 6 to 8 decks, I think, is a good meta. Which leaves plenty of room for brewers, and I love to brew. So today, we are going to tackle bannings. I have a list of cards here that we're going to go through that I think could benefit Standard in the long term. And obviously, these cards are based off of today's Standard right now, 2025, and we're in what, September? Yeah. So let's get to this list. Let me see. Do I have any honorable mentions? Yes, I have. I have 3 honorable mentions. So we'll go with the first one. Enduring Curiosity. Enduring Curiosity is in the Dimir Kaito deck, and it's a staple in that deck. The issue with it is the flash. Like, I love this card. I'm a blue player. I'm a control player. I love this card. But I understand how demoralizing it is. At the end of your turn, you thought you got rid of something, and then they flash an Enduring Curiosity. You don't have removal for it anymore, and then on their turn, maybe they play a second one, or they ninjutsu the Kaito in, and all of a sudden they're just drawing like 3, 4, 5 cards, depending if they had any Spyglass already on the field, or Drowners, you know. So it just gets out of control real quick, and being able to draw 2, 3, 4, 5 cards in one turn off of an end of turn flash creature is backbreaking. And not only that, even once you do get lost and destroy the creature, it becomes an enchantment. And it still draws all the cards. So out of all the Enduring Curiosities, because this has multiple triggers on the stack for it, well, not necessarily on the stack, but I mean multiple triggers can occur off of it, rather than with Caretaker's Talent. One token comes in, boom, 1 card, that's it. So you need multiple Caretaker's Talents to draw multiple cards. You just need one of these. That's it. So that's my first honorable mention. There's 3 honorable mentions. So, Enduring Curiosity, I would be gladly to see it gone. But, you know, whatever. The next card, Manifold Mouse. Last banning we had took out Mono Red, which is great. Mono Red does not need to be that good. Mono Red is a staple deck in almost any format, or Boros aggro. Something to that nature where it is quick, fast, is a staple in any format, and that's fine. It should not be tier 1. It just should not. Main reason is because then you're cutting Magic games from 3, 4, 5, 6 turn games to like turn 2, turn 3, and it's over. And then you don't get to play the game. At that point, what is the point? So aggro decks such as the Mouse deck, Boros, with it being Boros or Mono Red, should not be tier 1, tier 0 at that point, you know. So the honorable mention would be Manifold Mouse. For 2, a 2-drop creature being able to give another creature double strike or trample, with what's that instant? It just got banned. Anyway, I'll figure it out later. But anyway, with that card right there, that just got banned, right? With that out of the way now, because you would give double strike. And now you just give the trample, so you can make sure you get the damage in, right? But having multiple of these out is just crazy Just too good. And you don't have to wait till turn 4 to have 2 of these out. You can do turn 2, here's one. Turn 3, here's the other. And then all of a sudden it has double strike trample. Like, what are you going to do against that if you don't have removal? And I don't like the excuse of like, well, have the removal. It's like, well, if my hand draws into the removal on turn 2 or my opening hand, then great, I have it. But if I don't, well, what am I going to do? Shogunai, right? So that'd be my second honorable mention. My third honorable mention is Zombify. I'm really enjoying seeing, as a uniplayer, I'm a uniplayer, so I'm playing Reanimator. I'm enjoying seeing other type of Reanimator decks, and I love Kona Beast. That deck is so fun. I enjoy it. I hate playing against it because it could just win on turn 4 out of nowhere, right? So Zombify, I think, pushes Reanimator decks over the top for 4 mana. If it was 5, I'd feel a bit better. Because your turn 4, turn 5 in Standard right now is so important that that's where the game gets blown out on one side or the other. And if somebody zombifies Valgavoth on turn 4 after you board wiped, or excuse me, on turn 5 after you board wiped on turn 4, because they Kona Beast a Valgavoth into play from stationing a land on turn 4, and then on my turn, I'm like, okay, DOJ. Cool, Day of Judgment. Got rid of that stuff. Dope. Turn 5 on their turn, they play a land, they zombify, Valgavoth is back, and I'm like, well, okay. I can't do anything now, that's game. Like, I think that's why I think Zombify is a bit OP at this moment. Only, this is the first time in Standard, and I've been playing for like 15 years now, maybe even more, where I've seen Zombify be this strong in Standard. And it's because we have such OP creatures. But before, we never really did much with Zombify. I think we had, what, Gravedigger? Not Gravedigger. There was another one, but it was a 5-drop and it didn't really see too much play. So I think if this was 5, then, you know, I know it's a reprint. I know it's an old card. So what I'm saying is they shouldn't have reprinted Zombify in Standard. That's what I'm saying. Okay. 3 honorable mentions out of the way. That took a little bit longer than I wanted, but still. Okay. Let's get the 2 juggernauts out of the way. Cauldron and Vivi. That's it. It is what it is. These are the 2 culprits of the format. Probably any format at this point, because Vivi and Cauldron are legacy stapled cards. Eternal cards. That's what I meant. Excuse me. So we just got out of an Izzet format and a mono red format, and then things got banned. And then we went right into a Dimir Kaito format, which was prior to the Izzet mono red format. And then Final Fantasy released, and we're right back into Izzet and mono red, considering mono red just won one of the tournaments recently. So, Vivi needs to go. Vivi needs to go. That is the biggest out of all of these cards. Vivi has to go. Not Cauldron. Cauldron can go with it. I'm cool with Cauldron leaving. But Cauldron is only good in the Roots deck. That's it. And even prior, when Roots was seeing play with Cauldron, it wasn't that backbreaking. There was plenty of removal to counter it, and there's even more now. Especially with Graveyard Hate as well. So the fact that people are thinking Cauldron is the problem is 100% wrong. The problem is Vivi, because his prowess trigger is a +1/+1 counter that stays on him. It's not like actual prowess where it's just a +1/+1 and it's gone at the end of turn. No, that stays. Not only is it a pseudo prowess trigger, but you're getting pinged in the face every single time, and that damage adds up. Not only is it a prowess trigger, and he's getting a +1/+1 counter, and then you're getting pinged in the face, he can activate for free to get mana, and then start the process over again. And then not only that, you have other cards that are allowing it to get bigger. And so Cauldron pushes the deck over the top, 100%. Agreed. But without Cauldron, Vivi is still a problem, because Izzet prowess still has the entirety of the deck at its disposal. And if you look at some of the decks, it's not necessarily always a 4 of Cauldron. It's a 2 to 3 or 4 of Cauldron. So that means Cauldron is a backup, which means the deck is so strong that even without Cauldron, Vivi just pushes it over the top. And that was the issue with Corey Steelcutter. Is it Corey Steelcutter was broken, or Boros Corey Steelcutter was broken. And so the problem was Steelcutter, and luckily they got rid of that. So right now, Vivi is the problem. You cannot convince me otherwise. I love Vivi. FF9, I love FF9. I love that game so much. And Vivi was such a great character. But we're in Magic. We're in Magic. We have a competitive scene. You have a casual scene. You want to be casual and play casual standard with your homies at the kitchen table? Do your own thing. But competitive, MTGO, MTG Arena, Paper Magic, things have to be taken care of. And you have to get rid of it. So Vivi is the problem in standard right now. So Vivi has to go. Cauldron, I would like to see go as well, so that Roots doesn't just come back up again. Even though, like I said, Roots you can deal with, but I don't think Roots would come back up. But it would stop further for future cards coming out for Cauldron to jump back up again. So I would say Vivi 100%. Get rid of it, banned. Agatha Soul Cauldron, about 70%. Or 60%. If you ban it, perfect. If you don't, I ain't tripping. Those are the big ones out of the way. So, this is the problem now. Let's say we get our wish. Vivi gone, right? Let's say we get our wish twice. Cauldron gone, right? That doesn't necessarily fix standard format. What then happens is Mono Red goes to the top, and Dimir Control Kaito goes to the top. And then we're back to before Corey Steelcutter. So we have to fix that. So that's when we ban Kaito. Kaito has to be banned. The ninjutsu on Kaito is just overpowered. It's overpowered 100%. The fact that most of the deck is instant speed and flash is what pushes Kaito like through the roof for standard. In Pioneer, and I think Pioneer would be fine. In because you have other options. Like the way I was going against Kaito and beating Dimir Kaito was I was playing Defabricate. Defabricate is essentially a stifle for the ninjutsu trigger, and that would give me an extra turn to go ahead and put pressure on to where they wouldn't want a ninjutsu Kaito again. So and that's me because I'm a brewer. I play obscure cards and they work, and it works well. So now we don't have stifle. We don't have Defabricate because it got rotated, but we have, what's his name, Luxurious' something like that. But anyway, that's the only thing we have right now, and I'm playing that. But Kaito puts too much pressure on the player by turn 2 or 3. I say turn 2 even though the ninjutsu's 3 because turn 1 is Spyglass. Turn 2 they play their land. If it's my turn 3, I can't play turn 3. I have to be able to react to their Kaito some way, somehow. If they decide to go to combat, they have 3 mana open, and they're going to swing with the Spyglass, I have to make the decision, do I just kill the Spyglass now and then stop the Kaito? If I do that, they could Spell Pierce me, or they can flash in something else, and then the next turn Kaito is set up. So every time you're trying to play against Dimir Kaito, you're constantly on the defense because 80% of the deck is instant speed. And again, I am a hardcore control player. I don't like playing this deck. I've played it on Arena and it's busted. It'll get you the wins. It's not fun. And so it's broken. It is broken. But against something like Vivi Cauldron, it's not, because Vivi Cauldron has ways to bounce creatures. It has a little bit of interaction, and sometimes when Dimir Kaito taps out, Vivi can easily just boom blow the deck out of the water. So at that point, Dimir Kaito can't tap out, but then that gives Vivi all the time to do whatever it wants. So that's why Dimir isn't at the top currently. So that's why I think Kaito should be banned as well, only because of the way the meta pattern has been happening over like the last year or two. Is Dimir Kaito goes to the top, something big bad comes out from the next set, and it drops. That gets banned, Kaito goes back to the top. And we're at that point again, it just dropped. So if they ban Vivi Cauldron, Kaito Dimir just goes right back to the top. So then we're having this bad meta pattern instead of a play pattern. And that gets terribly boring as well. So that Kaito should be gone. And if they ban the Kaito along with the Enduring Curiosity, that'll kill the deck, but that would at least bring some openness to the format. And that's what this whole video is about. These are all hypotheticals and the cards that I would personally ban to open the format up more. So let's go to the next one. We discussed that prior to Corey Steelcutter, we had Dimir and Mono Red, right? And then Dimir fell out, Mono Red got better, Corey Steelcutter came in, and then all the bannings happened. Dimir popped up for like 2 weeks, and then Vivi came out, Dimir went back down, and Vivi Cauldron is here, right? And then Mono Red's here again. So, Screaming Nemesis needs to go. That card is broken. On day 1, that card should have been gone. No. It's a 3-drop 3/3 spirit with haste. And when it's dealt damage, it deals that much to any other target. If a player is dealt damage this way, they can't gain life for the rest of the game. So you pretty much have to let that hit you for 3 every single turn unless you have a get lost or a hard removal. You can't hit it with any type of damage. You can't block it. That's a bad play pattern. That takes away defense. That takes away anything unless you have first strike. No, because even first strike, you any damage dealt to it is it can either kill you, because you're at like 3 life left or whatever life. If you hit it with a 6/6, then it's gonna hit you for 6 in the face. Like, that's ridiculous. Or it'll destroy one of your creatures. But even if it hits you in the face for 1, and that's the other strat that they're doing, that a lot of players are doing, is they shock it for 2. Deal 2 to the face, you can't gain life for the rest of the game. So there goes Beza. There goes any type of life gain against Mono Red. And that's kind of like how you balance decks, is Mono Red is meant to take you out by turn 3. But if you're playing white or sometimes green, you have life gain to kind of counteract that to bring it back down, and then they go aggro, and then you got this going. But the moment Screaming Nemesis hits you from any type of damage that was dealt to it, Mono Red goes here, and you go here, because now you don't have any lifelink available at all. And it just gets out of control from there. So Screaming Nemesis needs to go. That is 100% a definite card that needs to be banned. The new Warp 3-drop Dragon that came out from Edge of Eternities, I think is fine. It's hit me a few times and I'm just like, oh my god, this card is like broken. But it's not. It's a good card. Warp mechanic is fine. It pings you for 1 and then it hits you for 3 or 4 because it has haste, I think. So I think it's a more fair Nemesis, Screaming Nemesis replacement, to be honest. Mostly because of the fact, like I said, it doesn't just end life gain. And don't get me wrong, there's other cards in Standard right now, if I remember it, unless they got rotated, that can stop people from gaining life, right? But there's a way around that as well. The fact that at any given moment, the opponent who controls Screaming Nemesis can shock it itself to stop you from gaining life. You're no longer in control. You're not playing properly in that sense, you know? So that's my take on Screaming Nemesis. That thing needs to go. Get it out of here. Okay. So let's say we fix Izzet, Cauldron, Vivi, gone. We fix Dimir Kaito, gone. We fix Mono Red, probably not gone, but at least it'll be a little bit better to play against, hopefully. What would be next? There's this one I'll just slowly talk about, and that would be stock up. Um, I think if we get rid of stock up, that will slow control down from just climbing the ladder to the top. Because the card draw in that on turn 3 is just so good. And then the consistency of it later in the game is really good. And I think that's a fair enough card to get rid of, considering that it's also in numerous decks. And we have a replacement with Consult the Star Charts, which personally I prefer that over Stock Up. 100%. That card is amazing. But because a lot of pros and people aren't playing it, people don't really see it as much value. But that card is so good, and I think it's a fair replacement. A 100% fair replacement over Stock Up. You either do it on turn 2, you look at 2 cards, and you pick one, or you do it on turn 3, you look at 3 cards, and you still pick one. If you are patient and you can wait until turn 4, then you're kind of getting a little bit more value for how much mana you're spending into it, right? And it's at instant speed. So I think banning or getting rid of banning stock up could be beneficial to the format as well. It'll slow down other control decks from getting up there and force them to play Consult the Star Charts, which I think is better, but I think that would be a good replacement for that. So after Control, what's the last deck that we would have to worry about? And that is Esper Pixie Bounce. Esper Pixie Bounce is the next issue and topic that we will discuss, for the fact that this deck is too consistent in the first probably like 3 turns. The consistency is too good. So 2 cards need to go. Storm Chaser's Talent, that should have been gone a long time ago. Storm Chaser's Talent, and then Nurturing Pixie. Storm Chaser's Talent is because that turn 1, put the Saga on the field and get a 1/1 that has prowess. You have to make your decision: do I kill the 1/1 or let it go? Wait until they're going to Storm Chaser's Talent and maybe get rid of the talent later, or save my removal for the Pixie that's about to bounce the talent and then play it again on the next turn. Like, too many decisions, and this is just turn 1, and whatever decision you make is probably the wrong one. So if you decide to get lost this otter that the Storm Chaser's Talent takes, then turn 2 they play the Pixie, bounce the talent, play the talent, Pixie gets a counter, they make another otter. What are you doing? But if you just leave it there and decide to take out the Pixie instead, the otter now hits you in the face for 2, and they still have a Storm Chaser's Talent. Like, there's no fairness in that. And I say that because it's turn 1. It's turn 2. I think there needs to be more of a balance in Magic for the first 2 turns. I think by turn 3, you should have sufficient mana, depending on RNG, to be able to handle stuff like this. That's my opinion on that. But the first 2 turns, I say turn 1 and turn 2, most important in any format. Turn 4 and 5 are also the back-breaking turns in any format. Turn 3 is pretty neutral. Turn 3 is like, okay, do I risk this turn 3 drop and then they kill it and then I'm just out a turn, but my turn 4 is going to be good? Or do I risk this turn 3, it stays there, boom, my turn 4 is going to be even better now. So then you have that type of a chess play, But when they put a Storm Chaser Talent turn 1 and Pixie's coming turn 2, what are you going to do? You only have one Get Lost in your hand. You have to wait till turn 2 to play it. And then you give them map tokens, and they make the Pixie or the Otter even bigger. So you're, in that sense, Get Lost is not good, because then they're just going to pump up the Otter and just keep beating you in the face until you get rid of it, and then play everything else and bounce things. So it's just, by turn 1 and 2, you have to make a hard decision that pretty much guides the remainder of the game. And that's not a fair way to play Magic, I don't think. I chose Nurturing Pixie as the creature to get rid of, because all the other creatures are 2-drops with the exception of Spyglass. Spyglass doesn't bounce, but you have the unicorn, I believe, that has flash and it bounces, and then you have the horror bird that has flash, I think, and it bounces. But both of those cost 2, and I think that's fine. It's this nurturing pixie that costs 1. That's the problem. The consistency of what I just talked about, turn 1 to turn 2, with a 1-drop, both being 1-drops with Stormchaser's Talent and the Pixie, that's the problem. The 2 consistent, they can mill to 5 cards to get this 2-card combo, and then they're just ahead so much, and all you did was play a land. What are you going to do? We don't have cut down, so you can't do anything about it. So for their turn 1, they play a talent, they get an otter. Turn 2, you probably play a surveil land. Or turn 1 on you, you play a surveil land. Their turn 2, they play the Pixie, bounce the talent, play the talent. Their otter is a 2/2. They get a second otter. The Pixie is now a 2/2, and they smack you in the face for 2. They have 4 permanents on the field by turn 2, and all you did was get penalized for playing a surveil land because you didn't have, Seam Rip or something. Or we don't have a 1-drop kill spell, I don't think I could think of. And then you draw your second land, and then you have a Get Lost in hand. Out of the 4 targets, what do you hit? You're done. You're done. Because it's a lot of damage coming around. And plus, even if you do get rid of the Pixie, again, you give them 2 map tokens, and then they pump up the 2 otters. And then they play another Pixie, bounce the talent again, get another otter, and then they're like 4/4. It's done. So this 2-card combo here is the backbone of the deck, and I think that's what needs to go for that. Now, with that being said, let's review again. We take care of the Izzet deck, which is Vivi Cauldron. We take care of Dimir Kaito. Take care of that with getting Kaito out of the way, and possibly Enduring Curiosity. So, and then we get rid of Mono Red. Or aggro with red, whether it be Boros or Mono Red, with Screaming Nemesis. And possibly Manifold Malice. If they don't, then that's fine. I'm not too tripping over that. Like I said, it was an honorable mention. But Screaming Nemesis does have to go. And then after that, we get rid of the Pixie and Stormchaser's Talent. And that takes care of 4 decks that have been riding the wave of the meta in a negative way for the last almost year or 2. Probably a year. And so, with those cards out of the way, that would open up a lot. Now, let me just say this too, because like I said, I am a Una player. I play Una Overlords with Bahamut and Knights of the Round. So just to hit my deck as well, if you want to ban Overlord of the Hauntwoods or Mistwoods, I'd be fine with that. I'd be fine with that because I understand that with all of this out of the way, Una might actually go to the top because Overlords are just that powerful. So, or if you ban Una, then you ban Una. I'm okay with that. I know my favorite deck has to take a hit, and that if that's what the hit takes, then that's what the hit takes. But then that would just completely open up the meta to whatever. It would be a Brewer's Paradise, well, with the exception of blue-white artifacts. Let's get rid of Simulacrum Synthesizer. Oh man, for a moment there, all these artifact, blue-white artifact players were just like, you didn't say anything about Simulacrum, oh my god, and I'm just like, wait a second. Yeah, that deck would actually blow up to the top with the white card that's kind of like Coco. So yeah, we need to get rid of that too. Mostly because Simulacrum Synthesizer, I think the card that came out in Dragons of Tarkir, it's the 4-drop 3 and a white sorcery, but it's a Coco for artifacts, right? Or non-land permanents, right? I think that's what it was, non-land permanents. In that deck, I've been blown out. And I've been blown out by the fact that will Coco for 2 synthesizers, and I'm just like, oh my god. And then the next turn, they play the cage with loot in it, 2 and a white, and it has speed on it. So they play that, get 2 artifacts, and then they get rid of one of my overlords or Una, and then all of a sudden, because of that one card pushing that deck over the top, now the game completely folds over. But that's what Magic is about. I understand that. But the blowout of that is just so much, you know? So, with all that being said, if all these bands happen to magically go, then I think the synthesizer deck would just go straight to the top. But we do have a null. We do have Spell Pierce still. We do have a lot of counter. We have the 2-drop green instant that can exile or destroy. Destroy an enchantment, artifact, or exile a card from the graveyard and you draw a card. I can't remember what it's called. We have that. So there are plenty of options to do it and take care of that deck. So I feel like it wouldn't be too bad. But I think that deck would probably crawl to the top, to be honest. But that's my hot take. And I'll 10 toes down, stand on it, you know? And I think that these are the problem cards of the format of Standard after the huge banning that we had. And I loved this last banning. Bigger bannings, bigger cards. If we're not going to have a banning for only once a year, you need to be ban hammering like 7, 8, 10 cards. We can, and if they're not going to, like they just put out a blog about, oh, we hear everybody about Vivi, we see all the tournaments and lower players, you know, signing up for tournaments. We see all of that. So we're gonna move the banning up by like a week or two. So still for another month and a half we have to deal with this. So unfortunately I haven't been playing Standard and Paper a lot. I play it on Arena because it's just convenient, but Standard is not good because Vivi is a thing. So when I do play Paper, that's all I'm playing against. And then if I'm not playing against Vivi, then I'm playing against Mono Red Screaming Nemesis. If I'm not playing against that, then I'm playing against Dimir Kaito or Esper Bounce. And I know now, hearing that, I'm sure everybody's like, oh, well, these are just all the cards that he doesn't want to play against, you know? But one thing I can tell you is I live in Japan, in Tokyo, and I play a lot of Magic here. And one thing I've learned about Japanese players for Magic is like 80% they're spikes. They are spikes to the end. And I've never seen so many or played against so many spikes in my life, to be honest. So that's all that we play against is Vivi Ornitier for like, or Vivi Cauldron for the majority. And those still hardcore Dimir Kaito players, they play it because they're hardcore Dimir control players, right? And then you got those aggro players that are just 100% mono red aggro. But then you got the ones that are trying to mix up the meta with Esper Bounce. So it's like the cards that I mentioned are a lot of cards to play against, but those are also all the cards that are the problem, to be honest. Like, you could defend some of these. Honorable mentions, you could defend those all day. That's fine. But the other cards that I put up on that list, those are problem cards. I don't see how you can tell me that they're not, to be honest. And tell me in the comments, because I love an argument, like a good constructive argument. Just be respectful, things like that, you know? But I don't see how... I could see you probably defending stock up, maybe. But out of Pixie, Storm Chaser's Talent, Screaming Nemesis, Vivi, Cauldron, Kaito, those 6 cards, I think I have more reasons to ban than you do not to be honest. And I play a lot of Arena, like a ton. And I understand that there's a different meta for Paper, there's a different meta for Arena, and there's a different meta for MTGO, for Magic Online. I completely understand that. And I play MTGO every once in a while too. So I get all 3 metas. So yeah, that's the end of my rant. If you stayed this long, I really appreciate it. Let me know what else you guys want me to talk about. I usually do some gameplay, but if you like these type of talks and discussions about what my thoughts are on the Standard meta, and that's what I don't play Commander or anything like that. I was one of the OGs in the group in Alaska with our play group that we helped kind of push the format before Hasbro bought it, and Commander is just like a terrible format. I'm getting close to making a video about that real soon. So if you want that, I mean, really ask for it, because it's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be nice. There's a couple of videos I've uploaded already about that format. So you can check that out. And there's a couple of podcasts that we talked about it as well. But anyway, I appreciate you stopping by. As Average Planeswalker, I'm gonna dip out and probably play some arena. So, all right, I'll catch y'all later. Peace.